Welcome, everybody. It's me. I'm down here. This is your part 2 of the EZ10 Fanfare and Journey workshop. The first part of the workshop we worked up here. That was last month. Today we're going to be working completely on the buttons on this side. And I'm going to do my screen share right now. I'm learning how! Woohoo! So I can do screen sharing. And, oh, where is it? Where's the one I want to share? I don't see it right now. Where did it go? I don't know if this is the one. Yep, that's the one. Okay, this is part 2. This is what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn about the keyboard touch, which on the EZ10 and the Fanfare comes on automatically. And on the EZ10P and on the Journey, it is automatically turned off. So these are some of the things we're going to talk about. We'll talk a little bit about the fake it and how you can use that. We'll talk about the harmony. Harmonies are your AOCs and duets. We're going to talk about your organs, which are flutes. We're going to talk about the Vibratrem. And I think Joe actually did a really nice, an entire day's session on flutes and organs. And you can do that absolutely in an entire day. So I'm just going to touch on it today as to what that is. We'll talk about the ensemble, which is your strings and vocals. The sustain button, that's not all that important, but it is a button that's there. Your upper sounds, your orchestral and solo. This is the hardest part right here, is the upper sounds and the orchestral on-off. So we'll actually get to the music recorder, your microphone, headphones, jack. I just listed everything that should be on the right-hand side of your instrument. Okay, I'm going to stop screen sharing. Woohoo, I learned how to do that. I'm so excited.
I have a question.
Okay.
Will that be posted in the chat section so we can download it?
I think he's going to put it in the Patreon section. You can also email me here at the store, and I can scan it to you directly as well. My email here is 5028@fletchermusic.com. And Sean is our techno guy who can get it to the chat, and I did not scan it to anybody else. So the only place I have it is right up here. And I haven't learned how to put it in the chat yet. So I'm getting better.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so what are we going to start with? We're going to start with keyboard touch. When you turn on a Fanfare, the keyboard touch is automatically on. With the EZ10, it is also automatically on. Well, what does that mean? That means that when you are playing something, depending on how hard you touch the keys is how loud the sound will be. So if I'm on a piano, are you hearing the difference in the dynamics? I'm not using my foot at all. I'm just using. If I turn the keyboard touch, which is right here, if I turn that off, oops, somebody else coming in. If I turn that off, now, no matter how hard or how soft I touch the keys, it's going to be the same evenness. Now, when you're first learning, I have a tendency to say turn your keyboard touch off so that you don't have to worry about how hard or how soft you touch the keys. A lot of people have said, I'm losing my notes. And if it's on, sometimes a note comes out too loud and maybe another note gets lost. So this is here for your own personal use. I would turn it off if you're learning something. You can use the dynamics on your foot pedal if you wish, but if you want to use the touch because you love playing the piano and the piano is probably the best place to put it, then turn it back on. But it's nice to be able to have that kind of control, to turn your keyboard touch on and off. I'm going to demonstrate that with a song, and I'm going to be playing, what song is it? My Foolish Heart. My Foolish Heart. And it's a wonderful background called Smoky Lounge. Right now it's off, so everything I touch will be the same. Turn it back on. back off. Let's turn on some strings. Now I'm going to turn on some harmony, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, but listen to the difference. That's a beautiful background called Smoky Lounge, and on the fanfare it's under Mix Pianist Group 2. Oh, here comes Dennis, all the way from Idaho. Okay, but did you notice a little bit of difference? It's kind of hard to tell because I have a tendency to have a very light touch on the instrument, so I had to kind of exaggerate. When the touch is on, it's, that's a when the touch is off, it doesn't matter how hard or soft I'm touching it. It's going to be very even. Personally, for my choice, that one should be turned off. But that's me. But that's why they give you the choice. Do you want to be expressive? Somebody like Joe Fontesha, he loves that touch because he is a piano player, and that just gives him a lot of dynamic control underneath his fingers. Some of us who are a little bit newer at this, it's a lot nicer if we can just turn that off. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is the Fake It button. That's the little purple button that's right next door to Keyboard Touch. What does Fake It actually do? Wow. Well, it actually is a way to improvise. It's a way to improvise without knowing how. What a wonderful thing. You don't want to do the entire song in Fake It, but you can use it as a wonderful improvisational tool. And I'm going to play a song called Paper Roses, and we're doing this on country full band, which is called Roadside Cafe. Fake It is off right now. Glide. Now I'm going to turn the Fake It on, and I'm going to just do this. I'm going to noodle. Turn the Fake It back off, and you can finish it. add some harmony. We'll get back to harmony in a minute. Okay, we'll just stop that. So you heard me do a couple of things. I used the fake it to put a little solo in the middle, and all I did was noodle. Now I was kind of singing the song in my head as I was playing the first page. So when I was playing the C chord, I was just noodling. And then I changed my chord to a G, and I kind of sing the song in my head, and I'm just noodling with my fingers. And I played that entire first part of the song with the noodling, with the fake it. And then when I got back to the chorus, I shut my fake it off and continued with the song. So you can use it as an insert for improvisation. Any questions on fake it?
Dawn, I have a question about something else.
Okay.
I asked it earlier. When you added the strings, you just take the button and it's general strings that are in there, or do I choose the combination of strings that I want?
I used the ensemble. Now, we're going to get to the ensemble as well. The
Okay.
ensemble is under the organs, because if you go straight to your orchestrals, that's kind of a hard section to know where everything's going. That's going to be one thing that we're going to talk about. So if you're adding strings, it's just very easy to go to the ensemble. On the EZ10, your strings are also in your flute, in your organ button. But your ensemble, and you've got pictures of violins here, and you have several of them. So when you touch it, it's going to bring up, right now it says string 16 in the window. I don't think you can read that far, but you can actually set it to the one you want. String 16, strings 8. Do you want to have a combination of strings and vocals? You have lots of combinations there, but I would preset that to what you want for that song. Then turn it off. Then when you're ready to add it, all you have to do is touch the ensemble and it will be there for you in that song to add to whatever sound you are using.
Got it. I've been struggling with that. I've been pushing the wrong button.
You've been going up to the strings up here, huh? Yeah, stay away from these until, yeah. If you're going to add something to a sound, you'd probably want to add either an organ sound, which is flutes, or an ensemble sound. Why don't we just go to those right now? The ensemble, strings 16, I'm going to turn off everything else except for what's going on with that ensemble button. That's the only one that's on right now. In the window, it says string 16. Now remember, what does 16 mean? It means it's a long 16-foot string. The longer the string, the lower the sound. It's just normal physics. When you have a strings 8, that's half the length. So that's going to be a higher pitched string. String 16. See the difference?
Oh, yeah.
The larger the number, the lower the sound, because it's the length of the strings that you're talking about. Then you have different combinations. You have one here that says strings 16 and 8, so you're going to have the octaves going on. You get the high and the low in one time. Then you have a vocal ensemble also in the ensembles. You have the 8-foot, which is, just to tell you, it's a little bit higher pitched. And you can combine strings 8-foot with a vocal. A low string with a vocal, and they give you all kinds of different things to do with all the different combinations that you can do with this. So yes, if you're going to be adding something to a piano or a guitar and you just want to fatten out that sound, touching an ensemble or a flute is going to give you that big, thick sound. And then, of course, your harmony's going to come in with that, too. Now, what's under the flutes? Flutes, if you think of a flute that you play like this, that's a pipe about this long. And it's got a very nice sound to it. But what happens when you make it a piccolo and you play with a very short pipe? What's actually happening? The pitch goes way up. The piccolo has a very high sounding pitch to it. It's the same thing with organs, because organs are actually pipes. Think of a pipe organ. Different lengths of pipes are going to give you different sounds, high and low. So if I look at my flutes, it'll say something like solo 16 foot. That's a long pipe. And I know Joe did a very nice job on one of the variety classes with organs. So a 16-foot pipe is going to be a lower sound. An 8-foot pipe in the same spot is an octave higher. A 4-foot pipe, which is shorter yet, is even an octave higher. All right, so now you understand the basics of what these flutes are. Go through and find some of your different organs so that you know what's in that button. How many different organ sounds do you have? There's a lot of them. This actually gives me all kinds of things to have. Here's a jazz organ. What's a jazz organ? It actually has a little bit of a pop, 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 a little bit of percussion to it so that you can play faster songs. If I scroll to a jazz 2, it's a different set of pipes with a little bit of percussion. And a jazz 3. So the jazz organs are a little bit nicer to play with faster songs where you need to have an articulated sound to it. You have an open organ. What that is it's a long pipe and a very short pipe. So you're going to hear one low end and one high end pipe. Can you hear it just from this? You got a long pipe and a short pipe put together, and it's called an open organ. A full organ is another combination of pipes. You just have different pipes playing together. A pipe organ is good for church music. Eight foot and a 4-foot together. Eight and a 2. And if you're hearing the different tones, that's really all an organ is different lengths of pipe together. And when you have 2 or 3 of them together, that gives you a different tone. There's infinite number of organ tones. They're so fascinating, and it's lots of fun. Now, that's with your flutes. And flutes or strings are good additions if you're playing a piano or a guitar and you want to fatten up the sound. Don't go to these, like Peg just found out. Go to either the flutes or the ensemble, where you can already have the sound you want preset before you start the song. Always work left to right. You pick your background, and then you come over here and pick a preset, and then if you've got a preset like the last one that I had, which was, that's not the one I had. There's that Smoky Lounge. The Smoky Lounge gave me that piano on top. And if you wanted to fatten it up, the first thing you would do is touch an ensemble. Now I should have preset it. It comes up to strings 8. And that's just the quickest way to do a one-button push. Remember, when you're in the middle of playing, the last thing you want to do is know, push this, oh my goodness, where's it going? Stick with the flutes and the ensembles, which are underneath that organ heading. You've got a sign here that says organs, and the line goes all the way across. That includes your ensemble. Now that's important for later. Okay, let's talk about what the Vibratrem does. And this, we're going to do this very quickly because, again, Joe did a really nice job of this in one of the variety classes, and you can go back on Patreon and check that out. So if I am on, let's just do an 8 and 4 foot pipe. Turn off the ensemble. Okay, let's just turn off. All right. The Vibratrem is the vibrato, which is a motion, and a tremolo, which is also motion. It's like having a Leslie speaker inside of your organ. If I turn off the Vibratrem fast and slow, wow, I get like a chapel sound. There's no motion. It's a very flat sound. If I turn it on slow, you're going to hear. Did you hear it? If I turn it on fast, aha, it's like your Leslie speaker spinning around. You don't need to really worry about whether your Vibratrem is on fast or slow, because guess what? When you use style setup, it's going to change all of those for you automatically. But it's nice to know what they do. It's very nice to know what they do. All right, let's talk now. Let's go back to our harmony. Harmony is so much fun. That's what makes it nice and fat. Actually, what harmony does, it does for your right hand what the easy button does for the left. Well, what does the easy button do? It allows me to play single-fingered chords, so I don't have to worry about how many fingers do I need here. One finger is good. That's exactly what the harmony button does, is it will allow you to play one finger, and it's going to sound like you've got all these other notes going on underneath it. Well, let's talk about piano and strings. Let's make it the 16-foot strings. And how does it know what notes to pick up underneath? It's completely dependent upon the chord that you are playing in the left hand. So if I put this on a duet means two. It's going to play two notes. It's going to play the note that is in the melody, and it's going to add a harmony note from the chord that I'm playing in the left hand. If I change the chord, those second notes will change. That's what a duet does, is it adds a second note. If I go to an open takes, let's go to AOC first. AOC means any old chord or automatic organ computer, and what it's going to do is it's going to play the whole chord underneath your note. All right, and it's going to make it nice and full. Let's get a different organ here. Let's do a nice, sweet organ. All right, let's go to a different harmony. The duet we've already tried. Let's do an open harmony. Now, what the open harmony is actually doing is it's taking one of these notes and putting it on the bottom. So it's giving you this kind of a chord. So you're going to hear lower harmonies. If I scroll to a different harmony, I get octave duet. That means it's going to give me that duet, but it's going to also repeat it in a different octave. So it's going to fatten it up a little bit. And then you get a rock harmony. What is a rock harmony? Rock harmony, well, when rockers play their guitars, they are not using the third, so they're just playing the root and the fifth. Why? Because that way they can play blues notes in between, and it doesn't matter if it's a major chord or a minor chord. They can put all those blues notes in there without having to worry. No third is basically what it is. Do you need to know that? No! You try some of them and see which one sounds the best for your song. And then you just have an octave harmony. I can remember when I was in a band, I had to play a Jerry Lee Lewis song. And Jerry Lee Lewis did a lot of dit, 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 and he would play octaves like this. Well, I have very tiny fingers, and so for me to play an octave is very difficult. So if I put it on octave and just play a chord, that's cheating, but we love to cheat. Cheating is a wonderful thing. Any questions about what your harmony does? Don't worry about which one to use. Oh, and there's one more in there. There's a country harmony. I use the country harmony on Paper Roses. It puts your harmony note on top of the melody note. Instead of putting them underneath, your country harmony puts the harmony note on top of. And a lot of country musicians will do that, and that's why it's called country harmony.
Dawn, I do
Yes.
have a question.
Go ahead.
When you press the harmony for the duet or the AOC,
Uh-huh.
does it go off automatically when you end the song? If you hit intro, does it go off? Or if you're in the middle of the song and only a section, the bridge section
Uh-huh.
is duet, does it go off by itself?
No, you
Oh.
have to. Now, if you change a preset, it will go off.
Oh,
Sometimes harmonies, if you, I don't know if you can see the light going on and off here.
Yep.
Sometimes the light goes on and off all by itself just by using your presets.
oh,
Okay?
okay.
But a lot of times I like to tell you in class, go ahead and add some strings or add a harmony. It
Oh.
will not go off by itself. It doesn't know that you want us to take the harmony off.
Right. Okay,
So then you just have to reach up and turn it off if you want it to stay in the same sound.
okay.
Good
Thank you.
question. Very nice question. Yes.
I had tried it and I thought, well, this thing is still sounding like the duet is still on. And
Aha.
I didn't know that I could press from the presets. Okay.
Yep. If you change a preset, it'll turn it off. Maybe it'll have a different preset where it's got different sounds and the harmony comes back on. So that's completely up to you. Now, what's nice is that you also have a harmony lock.
Oh,
If you lock the harmony, it will have every single preset that you play will be a duet.
okay.
That would be pretty cool too, huh?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's what the lock
Nice.
does. Is
Yeah.
it'll just lock you in so that no matter what preset you push, that harmony will stay there for you.
Okay. Okay.
All right, let's talk about any questions so far on organs.
Dawn,
Yes.
just me. I'm going back to your organ, your flute, and your ensemble buttons. Okay, on the left-hand side of your organ, you have the A button, which you said last time was for, yes, last time was for organs. Now, what is the difference between those two? And then my second part is when you press the
Good
flute,
question.
when you press the flute on the right-hand side, does it automatically go to the top, or do you have to press lower, or will it go to the bottom also?
Good question. Yes, and yes, and yes. We'll get to that in a minute. But to answer your first question, the A bank, which is a programmable bank, is full of organ sounds. Because like I was trying to tell you, organ sounds are there's infinite number of organ sounds, and the combinations of different organs makes up some really cool things. So if you go through and play your organ sounds, you may like one of these organs. Now, where are those sounds actually coming from? They are combinations of what's in this button and what's in this button. So they're combining organ sounds for you. There's already 8 organ sounds right here, all set up that you can use anytime you want, and they're in the programmable A bank. That's what's under those 1 through 8s if you're not already programming your own stuff and changing this. But there are beautiful organ sounds already in 1 through 8. They are combinations of these flutes here, and in the More button in your orchestral, you have some organ sounds. This says organ reed pipes. Let's go up to here now, okay? I'm going to turn off my flutes, my ensemble, my solo, and we're just going to go to the orchestral sounds. The more button, I think I counted 65 sounds in the more button. Wow! You have tons of pianos and you have tons of everything else that's here. And the more button is just a catch-all for, it's like the blank tile in the Scrabble box. There's 65 of them in here. And you have other organ sounds. Here it says reed pipes. Now I can combine that with the organs that are here. And if I put a pipe organ on, see how the combination of the two made a whole new organ sound? That's what's going on with the A bank. They are using combinations of the organs that are in the more button and the organs that are under the flutes. You can make up your own combinations too, by the way, and then you can save them into your programmable banks. That's some pretty advanced stuff, but it's fun to do. All right, so now the orchestrals. Let's talk about these orchestrals. Someday when you don't feel like playing a song, but you feel like just sitting down and plinking around on your instrument, find out what's under these buttons. Now you are absolutely using all of these just by virtue of the fact that you choose something from over here and you have your style set up on, and see how all these lights are changing? Every time you change a setup, you are using everything that's over here. We're just explaining how all these things are interrelated and how they act. So right now, I'm going to erase everything. Let's turn off all the buttons. Let's turn off all the buttons. So what do I have up here? Nothing. All right. You have two commands for the orchestral. Let's talk about this one right here. There's a black button that says orchestral on off. That's going to tell me that whatever I push here, I am going to set that into my upper keyboard. So if I push a woodwind, it says sax New Year's. I can have all kinds of saxes. That's the only sound now that's up here. If I press two buttons at a time, I can now have the saxophone and the vibes that happen to be under the mallets, and they're both going to the upper keyboard because I told them to. Now, I'm going to turn off the orchestral on-off, and I'm going to come down here. This is a hard section to understand too, where it says lower right. And there's a black command button here that says orchestral to lower right. Orchestral to lower right. So if I touch this, I have now shut them off on the upper, and I am now taking both of those sounds and sending them to the lower keyboard. Not the best combination of sounds, but you get the idea. Now what happens if I turn on both of the commands? You have two black buttons and they're right above each other, so it's easy to find out. Your orchestral lower is on, and my orchestral upper is now on. Does that mean that both of the sounds are going to be here and both of the sounds are going to be here? That would be redundant. That doesn't really, you don't need that. So what happens? When they're both on, one of the sounds will go to the top and the other sound goes to the bottom. I can switch them. Oh, how did I do that? Well, the solid light is the one that you touched first. The second one that you touch is going to be a flashing light. The blinky light always is going to the lower keyboard when both the commands are on. You can actually test yourself on this by picking a rhythm. Let's pick traditional full band, which is a polka. I didn't want to get to this one yet, but that's okay. And I have my Melody of Love here along with some other things. And so we're going to play a polka, but you can test yourself. You can look at this and say, aha, whatever is in the more is going to the upper keyboard because both of these commands are on, and whatever is in the brass because it's blinking is going to the lower keyboard. Now what about the rest of the stuff that's up here? There's an ensemble button on. Remember, these go to the top. Oops, or do they? This answers the other question that you had. This says organs can go to the lower right. Well, that button's not on. And remember, organs are everything underneath that line, which would be flutes and ensembles. Right now, everything in the ensemble is going to the top keyboard. You also have a solo button. Now, solo means one. You cannot, it says solo, trombone, Tommy. And that is going to the lower right because it tells me so. Here is your command for your solo. If that's off, it'll go to the top keyboard. If it's on, it goes to the lower keyboard. So this just tells you which the sounds, your orchestral's going to up lower, but they're also going to upper. See, this is the hard part. The orchestrals are the hard. Solo is either or. It's either up or down. If it's on, it's going down. If this is off, that sound now goes up. But it's combined with all the rest of the sounds. That's why sometimes when you come up here and just push a button and it doesn't sound, you go, what happened? Because you're layering that sound with all these other things. They all layer together. And then this just tells you what's going up and what's going down. These black buttons are your command station. The orchestral, one's going down, one's going up. The organs, it's not on. That means everything that's under this organ section is going to the upper keyboard. The solo says it's going to the lower right. So whatever's underneath here is going down here. There is a harmony on, and there is an octave down button. What is that? The octave down button just puts this section of the keyboard into the proper octave when you're down here, because if you remember from my other classes, you always have to go the diagonal. When you go from the upper keyboard to the lower keyboard, you have to move your hand diagonally. If I turn off the octave down button, it's going to sound like it's this range. If I push the octave down button, it put it in that proper octave for me. So that's a very nice button to have so you don't get screechy sounds when you come down to your second keyboard. Let's play a song. I haven't done many songs today, so let's try a song. Okay, so you can actually test yourself as far as what's here by looking. The solid light is going up because this command tells me it's going up. The blinky light is going down because that's the one that tells me where it's going. The solo is going down, and anything that's under the organ is going up because the two lower right is not lit. Any questions about this part right here? How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing good. Even on the larger instruments, this is the hardest section to understand. And that's why normally your PA will say, you know what, just use your presets, especially if you are just new to your instrument. Use your presets, because when you push your presets, all the lights change. You are using everything that's there. What we're trying.
Dawn,
Yes.
sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
There's 2 sustain buttons.
Uh-huh. The
When
sustain
do I
buttons
use?
are
Yes.
next. They're next to the ensemble and next to
Correct.
the flutes. It just holds the sound for you a little longer, so it doesn't sound like you're playing in a closet. So let's just test one of those. Let's turn everything off here, and let's put on an 8-foot string with no sustain. The minute I let go, see how it lets go right away?
Mhm.
If I push sustain, it holds it just a little bit. It kind of smooths out the sound without making it muddy. The same thing with the flutes. And again, those will come on automatically for you. So you don't have to worry too much about them. But that's what a sustain does, is it just holds the sound a little bit longer.
Okay. I'm glad I don't have to choose them.
Yeah.
I have to choose enough things here.
You don't have to, I know. But this should help you to understand what's actually on this side of the instrument, because we always work on this side. Everybody seems like they work on this side, because these are the things you can control. Song setup, the songs, which rhythm you're going to choose, and then we let the presets take over from there. So this is just trying to explain how these things actually work, and what role do you have as far as, can I push one of these? Try to stay away from, in the middle of a song, like Peg found out, try to stay away from your orchestrals. Don't be pushing on those, because you don't know if it's going up, down, 2 together, and if you push one and there's 2 going on and you push something else, they both go out. So it's really, try to stay away from on the fly touching your orchestrals.
And then what also happens is, to me, when I do that, I lose my setups down there. I go to play them and they're all different instruments. I don't know what-
Correct. That's correct. Yep. That is correct.
Well,
because
thank you
that's-
so much.
I hope-
learned a
Good.
lot. Thanks.
Yay!
Dawn,
Anybody else
Dawn?
have any questions? Yes.
Dawn, I have a question.
Okay, Susie.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you, suppose you have your, everything set up on the left-hand side, like your standard full band and everything is all a go. And then you decide that you don't particularly care for the sound that's in there. Can you go to the right-hand side and then change it?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. That's why we're explaining how these all work, so that you can, like, especially if you like the top, but you don't like the bottom. That's one of the
Right.
major concerns. So if you go to like a standard full band and you're on rhythm preset 0, and you don't really want that piano there. How do I know if the piano's going down there? Because it's a blinky light. Now I can change it, but I
Right.
don't want this to change, right? Don't want
Right.
this to change. Now there's a couple different things I can do. If you want to choose something else in your orchestral, what you have to do is press the brass so you don't lose it, and then touch the next one that you want, like the woodwinds, and then you can scroll to something else, like a jazz flute.
Okay.
Now I have,
Okay.
without changing, my Tommy trombone on top. So it does take a little bit of commitment to do that. If you love that setup, then you can save it into your A bank. You can save it,
Okay.
okay? So that you don't have to keep
Yes,
doing
okay,
it
great.
every time. But that's what presets.
Okay,
Try all of your presets first and see if there's a combination that you really do like. But that is the number one
Right.
complaint that I do get, is what if I love what's on top, but I don't like what's on the bottom? Can I change it? Of course you can. But you have to understand
Okay.
that you got to have both of these on, and you have to hold
Okay.
the solid light, then touch the category of of what you want to go down. Let's choose a guitar, and the blinky is always the second one you push. without changing the one on top. You just start
Okay,
pushing.
great. Thank you.
Just hope that helps. And don't be
Yeah,
afraid to
it does.
try
Thank you.
things.
I think I'm going to have to watch this again another
Okay,
second.
this is the hardest part. This really and
Yeah.
truly is the hardest part to understand. But if you understand what your where your harmony is and what they do for you, that's going to be a one-button push. If you understand that the organs are always going to be a one-button push, so that you can just say, ooh, I like this, but I want to have something more happening. I want to have some strings to go along with it. Your ensemble and your flutes are going to be that one-button push without disturbing the rest of the sounds.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Let's play another song, just because I can. All right. Let's do Mix, Aloha, and what do I want to do here? I am reading. That's a Hawaiian guitar. All right, I'm going to use preset number 8 because it tells me in the window it's full strings and French horn. And if I look up here, I can see it's going to be strings going up, strings going up because it's solid, brass, ooh, it's a French horn, going down because it's blinky, and I also have a solo and a harmony going on up here. And those are both going to the upper because neither one of these are on. The only one going down is the one orchestral that's flashing. We're going to play Red Sails in the Sunset, which was my dad's favorite song. And let's put on an introduction and just do a nice Hawaiian. Style setup 0 and get the regular or the very first sounds, Hawaiian guitar. Something else just for fun. Ending.
Is there any guitar, Hawaiian guitar that doesn't have birds?
Oh,
I love the sound, but I don't like the birds.
You don't like the birds in there? Well, then I gotta go out and shoot them. I'm not sure if that's going to be possible to get rid of your birds completely. Let's just... Yeah. No, they're in your style. They're going to be there.
They're going to be there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
They're going
you.
to be there. There's no way to take those out.
Alrighty. just checking.
Good question, though. Yeah.
Ah,
Any other questions about anything on the entire instrument? Because now we have actually gone from this side of the instrument. The last time I did this, we have now done this side of the instrument. I know I didn't talk about every single little button that's on here, but for the most part, hopefully you're understanding a little bit better about your orchestrals. Are they going up and down? You can, if you have one command, both of these sounds will go to the upper keyboard. If you have two commands, if you have one orchestral to lower, but orchestral on off up here is off, then both of the sounds will go to the lower. If you have both commands on and they're right over each other, then it'll split the difference. The one that's touched first, or the solid light, goes to the top, and the blinky light goes to the bottom. The solo, it's either going to be up or down, depending on what is pushed or not pushed in this lower right. These black buttons here are your commands. They tell the sound where they're going. It's off, so whatever's in the solo is now going to the upper keyboard. The organs, meaning anything under flutes and ensembles, can go either or. If it's not lit up, then anything that's under flutes and ensembles goes to the upper keyboard. If it is lit up, it sends it down to the bottom. So you can design your own sounds, and then you can save them all.
Dawn, I do have another question.
Okay.
It's not relative to the right side, but on
That's
the
all right.
left, the intro, there's two intro buttons. I never use the one on the right. Why?
Two intros, you use the
Your
one,
intro?
always the first one?
I always do, yeah.
Normally when you have you're on the Inspire. When you have an
Oh.
Inspire and you have two different intros, usually the first one is going to be longer, and it's going to sometimes introduce a specific song. It might be a signature background. And the second intro will be shorter and a little more generic.
Oh,
So
okay.
don't be afraid to play it. Like if you're playing Memory from Cats and it happens to introduce the cat memories, and you don't want to play that song, but you're going to use the background, then that second intro would probably be more something that you would want to choose.
Super. Thank you.
Any other questions? I know you've been looking at my chin the whole time here. That's not fun. Okay, yes, this will be on Patreon so that you can see it again. If you have any questions, I will have the worksheet so that Robert will also have that on Patreon. Don't be afraid to make an appointment with your personal assistant and say, you know, Dawn did a great workshop on this side, but I still don't understand this part, or I don't understand when to use fake it. And they'll be more than happy to help you out, and so that you can actually get a hands-on, one-on-one with your PA. Did you learn one thing today?
Oh,
Thank you, Dawn. Yes, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
If you learn
Thank you, Dawn.
one thing, then you are 100% successful. If you learned two things, then you're 200% successful. And if you forget them, no worries. You can ask the questions all again later. It's okay to forget. And again, go to Patreon and check it out again if you need a review. Or email or call and just say, I've got a question.
Thank you, Dawn.
You are very welcome.
are you going to
Go
do
ahead.
the next? Are you going to do the next Journey class?
I
Well,
don't know.
Dawn.
Robert assigns them, so, you
Oh,
know.
we don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
yours today was fabulous. Thank
Well,
you. It was
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. This is a section we don't usually get to this section.
right.
So I
That's-
thought I was
that's-
going to work on it. You guys are awesome, every single one of you. All right. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, Dawn.
go to the beach. And if you want to ask me anything else,
Raining, it's raining.
it's raining. Oh, it is raining. Oh my goodness, it most certainly is.
Thank you, Dawn. Great class.
Thank you very much,
you.
Dawn.
Thank you.